Well, we're here at the Classic Car Club of America annual event in Pasadena, California. This is Jay Quail. You're the executive, what is it?
The executive director.
The executive director of the event.
Thank you.
How many cars you have here today?
We have over 50 cars, 53 today here.
And these are all the creme de la creme, premier cars. These are the best of the best. You know, the Classic Car Club of America. How old is the club now?
We're 61 years old. This is our
Okay.
61st annual meeting.
Okay. And it's funny because there are some cars here that won back in 1959 and
Right.
some back in 62. You know, there are a lot of old cars that weren't always collectible. But these kinds of cars have been collectible since literally the day they left the factory. Duesenbergs, Pierce Arrows, Packard. What's the theme today? Is it Murphy?
Murphy Bodied Cars, here, Murphy Body Company from here in Pasadena. There's a limited number of the cars available. There were quite a few in our club because they were made during the 30s
Right.
era. So we actually engraved invitations and we invited the cars.
Oh, okay.
People could stay home if they
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to.
just send the car down.
We wanted the
Yeah.
cars. And we had a wonderful turnout because of that.
Now, Murphy was a body builder. Back in the day, getting a car was a bit like ordering a suit of clothes. You'd go to the factory, you'd look at the fabric, and then you'd take it to a tailor. And Murphy was, for lack of a better term, one of the best tailors there were. You bring your Duesenberg chassis, your Packard, and he would show you a book, and oh, I like this body, and I like that.
You know, the custom coach building was exactly that. You could have anything built. If you could imagine it, they could build it, and
Yeah.
they could put it on the chassis for you.
And a lot of people think classic car means kind of slow and boring. It doesn't. These are Duesenbergs, these are V12s, these are V16s. These were the F40 Ferraris, the F1 McLarens. These were the fastest cars of the day. When a Model T would barely go 42 miles an hour, a Duesenberg would go 120, boom, right out of the box. Packard, these were 100 mile. You know, this is when 100 mile an hour is like 200 miles an hour is now.
Definitely.
You have to see these cars in the time that they existed, you know. Because back in the day, now we like big engine, small car. But back in the day, big engine, big car, big wheelbase. And, you know, it was just literally rolling thunder, these cars. They would go down the road 100 miles an hour. These cars cost as much as a neighborhood. I mean, a Duesenberg was $12,000 to $20,000 when a house was $1,200.
Right.
So there's some fascinating automobiles here. The ones that have been restored, and then cars that are 100% original. How do people, if they want to learn more about the Classic Car Club America, what's the website?
They could go online, www.classiccarclub.org. They can find out any information on any of our events. They can see our activities, and they can certainly join online if they want to. And we offer publications, we offer teaching events, we offer judging events.
Jay, thank you very much.
Jay, thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to have you.
I'm going to go look around.
Thank you.
Here's a car I've always admired. This is a 1930 Packard, I think, Victoria. I love these wheels. I just love the design of it. It's just so unusual. Looks very French, looks very European, and yet it's a Packard. Look how low it is. What a sleek looking car this is. I love the door handle right here in the middle of the door. That's pretty cool. Twin spares. Look at the dual spares. This is when Packard, I think, was at its best, this era. And it looks good with the top up or down. You know, a lot of these cars from the period, you put the top up, it'll kind of clunky, whereas this one, it makes a great hard top, and look, it's double insulated, so it looks like a closed car from the inside. Just beautiful, just a beautiful car. This is Tony, and this is, well, you're not the owner of this car,
No,
right?
I take care of it. I take
Right.
care of 100 cars that the owner has.
Oh, okay. This is a 1929 Duesenberg.
Yes.
And the cool thing is, all original car. Look at this, has not been restored. Wonderful patina on this car. This is what it would have looked like if you bought it back in 1938 or
Absolutely.
1940 after being 8 or
This
9
was
years
originally
old.
owned by a woman,
Yeah.
and she owned it for a year.
Yeah.
And it moved around, but then it went to a family in New York, and they owned it for 50 years.
Wow.
The motor was rebuilt in 75.
Oh,
I
okay.
have all the invoices and everything. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
invoices
But the
from
body
day one.
hasn't been touched,
No,
huh?
hasn't
Yeah.
been touched.
Again, another Murphy car. It has the Murphy signature deal here with the, like we just saw on the other car. See, the window comes up and then this closes off. That's original paint too, isn't it?
It's original paint, yeah. It's
Wow.
come down to the metal there. Yeah. I did replace the tyres, but I was able to take the original wear out the old tyres and put them in here. We have a special process that I developed.
Yeah, I see how that works. Yeah, yeah. As you can see, it's on the original ones.
Yeah. And I was actually laying underneath the thing yesterday, and there's absolutely no rust anywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
Well, you know,
Considering it stayed in New York, you'd think with the
I know.
dampness there, it would have got some sort of cancer.
well, the chassis in this car weighs 4,400 pounds.
Yeah.
It's so massively strong,
it's
so any
unbelievable.
rust, that's the original seat, huh?
Original seat, and these lights work too.
But if this was 1952, this is what a Duesenberg would look like after a lot of use by an owner. How many miles on the car? Any idea?
It says 23,000.
Wow.
I wouldn't imagine that.
No, it could be 123 though, couldn't
Probably
it?
123, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it drives. Like I say, we have a 33, just a fully restored car.
Yeah.
And this drives so much better.
Yeah, there's nothing drives like original.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is nice. Beautiful, beautiful car. Again, another Murphy car done here in Pasadena. As you know, the Doble is probably one of the rarest cars there are. This is probably one of the most famous Dobles. This belonged to a guy named Barney Becker who drove it over 600,000 miles. He had it for years and years, 30 years. This is your steam generator right here. Your engine is in the back, but this one probably has more miles on it than any Doble ever. And as you can see, it's a driver. It's not a show car. Those are Lincoln front brakes on there, because most Dobles just came with rear wheel brakes only. This is your fan right here. This is your condenser. The way that works is this is a steam driven fan. There's two turbine wheels. The steam spins that. It draws in the cool air, and the steam goes in, and the cool air converts it back to water, and then you use the water over and over again. Remember that experiment when you were a kid where you have the plate and they heat the water and the steam would rise, hit the plate and come down as rain? You know, that's basically what happens. These weigh just about 3 tons. It's a majestic car going down the road, and they ride pretty nicely. This is the definition of road-hugging weight right here. Look at the classic dashboard. Take a look. This is also a Murphy-bodied car. The windows fit in here, and it's got the disappearing top. Here's the other side here. There are so many valves and adjustments. It is the most complex car. Well, this is Bob White. He's the owner of this beautiful 1937 Cord. Phaeton, or a convertible, if you want to call it that. But this car is distinctive because why?
Well, it was owned by Tom Mix.
Now we got to say who Tom Mix is, because he was old for guys my age. So he was probably one of the most famous Western cowboy movie stars.
He was. He did 348 movies, but all but 8 are silent. So that's why a lot of people don't know that name today.
Yeah, and it says the Tom Mix Circus. Did he have a traveling road show of some kind?
He did. You know, later in his life, in the 30s, he started his own circus.
Right.
And at that time, a lot of people had that. It wasn't just a circus; it was animals and Wild West shows, and so
right.
yeah, he had his
would
own
do
circus.
6 guns and all that kind of
He
stuff.
would do roping and shooting and everything like that.
Now, if you've been to my website before, you've seen my Cord Winchester. This is basically the same. Is this one supercharged?
It is supercharged.
Okay.
Yep. Got the pipes out, and it truly is a supercharged car.
As I remember, this is what, 288 cubic inch?
It is.
88?
288, and you could drive this car 80, 90 miles an hour, and that's what Mix did.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing what a good handling car these Cords are. I mean, they really feel like a car from the 50s or 60s rather than a car from the 30s. Mine is an unsupercharged car. I think the problem with these cars were they were expensive and they were a little smaller. It was a more personal sized car, and
Right.
most people thought, well, you can get a Cadillac for the same money, which is a lot larger. You know, we
Yeah.
Americans think big is better all the time, and it's not necessarily the case. Can we open the hood?
Absolutely.
There you go, right there. Look, it's got TM for Tom Mix on there. He put his name on everything. Cord front wheel drive, which was pretty revolutionary back in the day.
Cord owned Lycoming also,
Right.
and he had them adapt this airplane engine for it. Interesting thing, Jay, is that it's turned backwards
Right.
because of the front wheel drive.
And a lot of people don't realize, I think originally this was going to be the baby Duesenberg.
Exactly.
And then they decided, no, let's call it Cord,
Right.
after E.L. Cord, of
Yeah.
course. And
They were trying to hit that notch in the market a little bit below the Duesenberg.
but it really is a fantastic engine, and it's got that vacuum transmission. You never want to park it in gear. You always want to leave it in neutral with the handbrake
Absolutely,
on, because you have to have vacuum to run the transmission.
Right.
And you know, this is another car that got a terrible reputation early on because the transmissions were kind of finicky.
They
and
were.
People didn't know how to fix them, and the
Yep.
electrical connections, if they weren't good. But if you set them up
You even
right,
shifted a little different
Yeah.
too.
yeah, this has what they call a pre-selector box. You would pre-select your gear, like you put it in first and you use the clutch. While you're moving, you shift it into second. Then when you're ready to shift, you just touch the clutch and it would shift automatically. Then you'd select your next gear before you got there, and that's how it worked. And it freed up all this area here. You didn't have the big clunky gear shifter, and people loved it because it's a pretty small car, pretty compact car.
You know, these trucks are historically are so small.
Right.
The tire was in there originally.
Right.
But there were three Hollywood people, Al Jolson, Barbara Stanwyck, and Tom,
Right.
had this custom cover made, and so they could get a little bit more room in here.
The cool thing about these cars were when they were testing the Cord, the big problem was the brakes overheated. And Cord didn't have the money to redesign the brakes, so Gordon Burig said, let's just drill holes in the hubcaps here in the wheel and cool the brakes that way. So what was really just a kind of an engineering shortcut turned out to be a real styling coup that became quite popular. That's why they did that. So it's pretty neat, pretty neat. And these even the proper tires, aren't they?
Yes.
Look at that.
Yep.
The white wall that's got the ridge in it like that.
Yep.
So this is probably better than Tom would have had it, huh?
Yeah. Everybody here restores cars better than they came out of the factory. Now he also had a gun holster in there with a gun.
Look at the gun holster. Yeah. Drive that around LA with the when the cop pulls you over and he wants to see your car with a gun and the gun holster. That'll go over real big in Los Angeles.
And his gas pedal, he had a leather gas pedal.
Oh yeah, leather gas pedal, had all the kind of cowboy touches. Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this here. Even look.
Yep. You know, I found the originals.
Yeah?
The originals off this car to remake those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you've done just a beautiful job. It looks like a spare no expense restoration. Bob, thank you. Thanks for
Thanks,
showing
Jake.
us your car.
You bet.